morning. Welcome to another episode of Papa's Workshops. These are for Adam, Brady, Luke, and Brenna, and all those other people that watch. Before we get started, though, we're going to need to check in with my assistant. There's my hard-working assistant. You ready to get paid today? There we go. She works for food. All right, Molly, let's get to work. All right, today we're going to finish up the lower part of the Newport Secretary. All we have left is the center of what I'm calling the gallery. So it's the prospect door and the 3 drawers behind that. So that's what we're going to accomplish here this episode. All right, there is the section we need to do. And so there's the door, prospect door, and then 3 drawers behind that look just like these bottom 2 here. Let me push that one flush. They just have this shape to them, and then there's that. They don't have a shell on there. So that's the way the original was. I had planned on doing a box that the all 3 drawers would come out together in a box and have a secret compartment. And then I decided to go back and do it the original, but I should have put the dados in there for the shelves when I had that out. The box would have covered it if I'd changed my mind, but I didn't. I don't have the hardware yet for the door, so I'm going to go ahead and do the box. Now, I had the material already cut. It's 1/4 inch thick, and it was this wide, this tall. And so what I did was I just made a dovetail box. So, and then I put a rabbit on the back and put the slots for the shelves. So that's pretty much it, and it just slides in. All right, see, this just slides right in there, and then it locks in place. So the secret is how to find the latch to undo that, to pull that out. So the next thing I need to do is put the shelves in, and then I've got a back. So I've got the shelves cut right here. So they'll have to stick out a little bit from the box. I'm going to make the drawer fronts cover that box, so you won't see it. It will look like the original when you open the prospect door, but once you find the secret button to pull out all the box and all the 3 drawers, then you can get to it. All right. I dyed the box black. And then the dividers are, of course, those are going to show. So they're going to be the color of the chest. So the black just will hide better what the catch and stuff in there. So the box is all glued up. So we need to start on the drawer fronts. All right, we're going to start on the drawer fronts, and so I've got one piece that's all 3 fronts plus a little extra for the cutoff, and so I've drawn the profile on the ends and used the dado blade and took out much of the bulk, and you see the rabbit that I've got. That's going to make it fit over the box. So normally I would do the joinery on these first, so I have to cut them into little pieces, but I thought maybe I'd do it this way, see how that works. So I can do all the shaping all at one time on these, and then we'll cut them into 3 pieces and do the joinery. So we'll see how that works. All right, I got it roughed out with the molding planes, but it's pretty rough. the blade on the molding planes is set at 45, and that doesn't do well on the end grain. But it got it shaped, so I'm just going to kind of clean it up with the carving tools, get it a little smoother, and then finally it's even kind of hard to scrape it cross grain, so I'll probably just use sandpaper. I've got to take the gouges and get that lip out of there, but we're real close. All right, we got the front pieces all shaped. And we got the rabbit in there so that it fits correctly around the box. So now it's just a matter of slicing this into 3 pieces to fit the door. And then the top drawer and the bottom drawer will have to have a rabbit, the top drawer across the top and the bottom drawer across the bottom. And then we'll be ready to do the joinery. All right, we got all 3 cut in plain to size. I did have to modify the box. I had to notch it here. I was going to put a rabbit on these, but the rabbit would have been like a 1/16 of an inch right along that. That'd be too fragile. So I just cut that down so that it sits there even. So I got all the sides, and these are the backs, and the sides just rough cut to size. These are the bottom. So we'll do the dovetails for each of these drawers, and we'll be getting there. All right, we're working on the dovetails for the little drawers, center drawers, and working on the dovetails for the front. So I got one done. So this is kind of what it looks like. We've got a step, right? So then when it's in there, it's going to be that way. So we've got that step. So when it fits in the box, the lip of the box will serve as the stop. So it's pretty straightforward. We do the tails first, so there's the tails. That's pretty much the same. So transferring becomes a little easier because we're going to go up against the lip. So I just have a clamp and just making sure that these, on this particular drawer, this is the middle one. The bottom one is going to have a lip, and the top one on the bottom one has a lip on the bottom, and the top one has a lip on the top. So you have to keep that in mind with the alignment. So it's just a matter of transferring, but it is a little harder to get in there with a knife. You have to kind of work it. So when we transfer that, and then we can chop out the pins. I was able to get in there with I've got this little fine hobby saw, basically. It's right there. And I was able to get a certain amount of cut. I can go clear like this and a little bit this way. So that helps, but you can't go all the way down. It's mostly chopping, so to work. All right, we've got the center 3 drawers done. As you can see, you can't see the box. So that's the way the original would look, just like that. So now we have the door to do, which I still don't have the hardware, and the secret compartment behind the box, which I'm not going to show. But other than that, we've got the back of the case to do, and the door, and then we'll be ready to finish. Actually, the back can wait till after the finish. So we're pretty much ready to do a final hand sand on everything, and put the die on those drawer fronts that aren't done yet, and then put a finish on it. Then we'll be ready to start on the top. So that'll be another few months of work. All right, we finally got the rest of the hardware for the case, and you can see I put some of it in. I got, this is what the pulls look like, and so I've got all the drawer fronts drilled with that. And those who don't know what this is, Reproduction hardware. So this is the ball right there. You see it's got a shaft, and so there's a nut that goes on the back of that. And so it's about an inch thick drawer is about as most that you can have. So on this upper one, since it's 1.5 inches when we've got this bulb there, I had to recess a hole on the back side to fit those. And these are the knobs for these pullouts. And I got this little knob's not all the way down. They're hard to get back out once they get in. You know, it's got the knobs have a threaded shaft. All right, so you focus on that. You got wood screws from there down, and you got the machine screws. So I put 2 nuts together. I use them to get that thread in there. So I got all the holes, the pilot holes drilled in all of those. And then we've got the echelons or whatever they're called there to go over the. So I got those fitted, and I'll put the nail holes in, and this top one has to be bent to fit down that lip. And so I gotta get some polish. I had some scratches, and so I got most of it out of there. So that's everything with that. So we're ready to start on the door, and I put the hinges in, and this is the way the original was. Is the barrel of that hinge is lined up with that bead, and this one I got to put a shim under. It's a little off, but that's the way the original was. So normally that barrel would be in line with the seam between the door and the barrier. It would be in the middle, so it's kind of canted over. Now there's 2 ways to accomplish that. You could make a 1/8 inch deep dado in there, and flatten the whole thing. But then this part of the hinge, that's the door part, would be surface mounted on the door, and then you'd have a pretty good ridge around there. What I try to do is put it at an angle, so that it's more or less flush back here. So it's sitting at this, if you look down, it's sitting at an angle like this. Instead of straight, it's like that. And so I'll have to do that on the door to a certain degree, to get that to fit. That's not the way you would normally put a hinge in. But like I said, I think it does look better to have it all lined up with the bead, and that also allows me, since I did the box that's going to go in there, I have to have it that way anyway, so that the box could come out without hitting the hinges. So I just need to put the mortises in there on the door, get that lined up, and then we'll put the lock in the door, and then we'll have to put a hole in there for the plunger. And then we'll be ready to carve that door. I think that's about it with the hardware. All right, let's get to work. All right, I've got the door installed, and I got the lock put in there, so that right there. So now we have to locate the plunger. I actually had to redo the door. I did it the first time, and I jumped the gun a little bit on the lock. I thought I had enough clearance here for the door to meet. But you can see from that, I had to cut about a 5-degree angle to give me enough clearance for that to go all the way down. And I knew that to a certain extent, and I moved the lock back, but I couldn't get it to sit right. And I didn't know that till I already had the mortise for the lock in there. So long story short, I had to move the lock over about 1/16 of an inch, and I had to bend that flap out at about that 5 degrees so the whole thing would sit flat. So that made my keyhole too big. It was huge. So I thought, well, I can just patch it. So I put a plug in there, a walnut plug, and redid it. And it looks okay. But, you know, this line right here, that's where it's going to go down. And I thought that was just going to look, that was too close to the edge. It's going to look odd. If it was in the center, you know, maybe that would look better. But I felt like every time I looked at it, I would say, boy, you screwed up. So I had another scrap piece, actually out of this same board, but it isn't as nice looking. You can see it's got this little knot right on the edge, but it only goes down there about 1/8 of an inch, and so that's all going to be gone, but we still have these funnier lines here. Then we have the nice straight grain on this side, but it is what it is. So right now we got to locate the striker, and then we got to mark, you know, where this would meet with these guys, so we can define our lines coming up for the shell. All right, we have got the latch, the plunger in. See, it's locked right there. We can see the little hole. So we're good. So this is set back a little farther than the drawer is, because the barrel of I lined that barrel up with the bead, and I pushed it back a little bit. So I don't know, if I kind of follow that line right up, we're right there. The taller mark is where we're supposed to be. And then of course this we got to have a gap here for the door to move, but also for it to move, it's going to expand and contract this way, and with the grain going this way on the base, it's not. So we need what looks like a pretty good space there. Come summertime, that's going to get closer, and we got to hope it doesn't get too close. So anyway, so I got those marked. So now we'll draw out the like I did that on this other one. We'll draw out where we got to cut. So what I'm going to do, we need to do this area first, because to this last lobe of the shell, right, is rounded, and so we need to have this gone to know how far we got to go. So we're going to do this recessed area first, and so I'm going to draw it out. Then we'll take a router, and this area right here between these two lines, we'll lower that with a router, get it all down to where we need to be, and maybe some shallower cuts to get some of the meat out of that. And then we'll have to define this edge by hand, and the curve by hand. Then we can start on the shell. It's a long process. You know, that the natural tendency with a project this big is just to you want to finish. You're getting tired of doing the same thing, and you're trying to rush to finish. And I have to tell myself, this is the fun part, is making it. So we have to step back once in a while and say, no, we're going to do it. And that's kind of what with this door, we're going to stop, we're going to do it right, and continue on. So more fun to come. So there's the center lowered. So now I'll just do the curves and shape this up at the top. Here we are. We've got the hollow part out. So we're pretty much ready to start on the shell. And that's the picture of what we're going to achieve. And it looks like the center medallion is not much higher. Looks almost at the same level as the rest of it. So we're going to take, first step, these highs, which would be this inner circle, and we're going to shadow that out so that it's parallel kind of to this. You know, it'll start out and then it'll come down, you know, well, probably mostly halfway. And so we'll shadow that all out. And then we can define the rays. So I think that's it for today. All right, we've got the area dished out. Now that's going to be the tops of the high lobes. And so now I've redrawn the medallion. So I'm going to lower that on the outside about another 1/16 of an inch. So we got the medallion is proud. All righty, we've got get some light on this better. We've got the medallion set, and I've defined the outside, and there's like a 1/16 lip that's around there. So so about a 1/16 out is where we need to bring that down. And I got this all even, so I marked which ones are the lows so I don't get confused. So we'll draw those out, and we'll start doing the lows. This is roughly the tops. So we're getting there. All right, there we are with the completed shell. It looks, here's the picture, the bottom picture. So pretty much there. So I'm going to dampen this to raise the grain before I put the dye on. And we still have a couple other things left to do on the lower case. The back, of course, but I'm not going to do that till after the finish. But we've got to put on the locks, I forget the strike plate has to be put in on these. So I'll tip this on its side and do that. And I started the process of putting, see a little block on the back. That is the drawer stop. So I put a temporary piece on the back so I could set the depth of all these drawers. So I got another little block. So that's what I'm going to have to do. The rest of these, I got a couple more to do. These are done. The big ones are done. So I've got these 3 and these 3 to do, and the strike plates, and that's it. Then we're ready for finish on this lower case. So that'll be it for this episode of Papa's Workshop, and next time we'll start on the upper case. Woohoo!